Well, hello everyone, and welcome to live questions and answers with me. Happy Thursday. Let's see if my microphone is working well, hopefully. I'm just gonna do a quick check. I'm trying to rush, and so hopefully that works. Okay, so I would love to take your questions, and we're doing an open format today. So, as long as we try to keep to hormones, because that's what we are all about. And while waiting for you guys to get online and start gathering, I've got a couple of things I wanted to share with you. So the first thing is, in case you haven't seen it yet, we are doing a clearance sale of our hand sanitizer. It says cleanser is the old label because since then we've gotten the FDA approval. So it's a sweet deal of $4.99. You get this. One of the cool things about the sanitizer is that I think we used to sell it for like $13. So we're doing a total clearance sale. So if you want to take advantage of that, it's the right time to do it now. You can save basically over $8 for a bottle. What we like about this, I think, is the fact that we've got 70% of ethanol here, so it's totally effective. Like, that's why we got the FDA approval for calling it a sanitizer, because it does comply with the CDC requirements for being effective against the virus. And so, it comes in a very much of a gel form. And one of the cool things is that because we're using aloe in it, it disappears really quickly. But most importantly, it's one of those hand sanitizers, doesn't dry your hands. And so one of the biggest things that we have that people are sharing their reviews of the product is that they basically don't get dry hands. And so on top of that, we don't use any chemicals in this. It's very clean. We've only got 3 ingredients in this, and that is alcohol, which is sugarcane derived, and then we've got water, glycerin, and xanthan gum. So sorry, it's the glycerin that moisturizes the hands, not aloe vera. Sorry about that. Brittany, if we could pop a link to where folks can buy it. And you don't need any codes. You can just go and purchase that. And so we're running low on inventory. Is there a 2-year expiration for the hand sanitizer? I believe, it's, if you think about it, like what's in it, and the fact that it's 70% of alcohol, it's gonna probably have a way longer than 2 years lifespan. So if, it's actually a good idea to probably stock up. So that's one thing about the sanitizer. Great, grab that while we have that in stock. The other thing is I wanna just share with you guys a quick announcement through the person you don't see on the screen, but she's on the background with me, is Brittany. And she is a certified esthetician and an herbalist, and we know each other from the school. So she was the one who brought to my attention this really cool product for Suntegrity. And I've been looking for a clean sunscreen product for a very long time. And there was always something that wasn't right. It's either they left my face looking really white and looked like a geisha, or it just had dodgy ingredients in it, or didn't feel very good, or it just burnt me. And so when I got samples of these products, and then I ended up putting it on and testing it on a high altitude. So I was out hiking on high altitude as you know, I live in the Colorado mountains. And so we are pretty high, but I was even in the higher elevation. I was about at 10,000 feet elevation. That's about 3.3 thousand meters above sea level. So it's a pretty high elevation. And the closer you are to the sun, the more you get burned, right? And so I was testing out these products, and I was really expecting after that much of a sun exposure to come back and only applied it once in the morning before going for hikes, and never got burnt. And so my skin felt really nice and moisturized. And what's cool about it is that, so they have 2 types. One is the 5-in-1, they call it tinted. So it does have a slight tint to it. Comes with a really nice pump, which I really like. So let me just show you. So it does have a color, and I chose a color that's kind of matching to my skin. They have various tints, different degrees, and so mine is pretty brown because I do have olive skin. And the other one is, so this one is more of a sheer coverage. So it doesn't like give you 100%. It doesn't really, it's not really a purpose of a foundation. It just gives you like a tint on your face. But if you want something more covering, that's more like a foundation-like, then this product is really awesome. It's called Impeccable Skin Sunscreen Foundation. And that's the one that gives you like a proper foundation. As you can see, it's a little bit darker. And I don't know whether it shows on the screen or not, and the thing is that when you put it on, it just, the best way I can describe it, I'm just going to rub both of them in. The best way I can describe it is that they really feel like second skin. Like you forget that you are wearing anything. And, my hand is darker than my face. And so you can see a little bit of that, but it's just going to disappear really quickly. It's got a really nice, very subtle smell. It doesn't have any strong fragrances. For those of you who are familiar with EWG, Environmental Working Group, they have a database of clean products, so especially skincare products, sunscreen products, and they've got a rating of 1, which is really good. 1 meaning it's very low in toxicity. It's also reef safe. So for those of you who are planning to be in the beach this year, near places that have, well, actually not just reefs, but any wildlife, that your traditional sunscreens, the banana boats and all the Neutrogena sheer, which used to be my client, that stuff is just known to be really detrimental, and so much so that for those of you who are maybe familiar with, Hawaii, for example, in Hawaii, you're not even allowed to use a sunscreen that destroys the reef because they have so much damage to it. So it really is a problem. There's a question from Marisol: is this a physical or chemical sunscreen? So it's a physical. So it's a really good question. So so it has a zinc oxide in it, right? And so that's what causes a deflection of the sun rays from the skin. So you're not chemically absorbing the light, right, into the skin and neutralizing it. It's basically reflecting it, deflecting it. So really cool product, highly recommended. And they also have, if you don't want to tint, they also have ones that are not tinted. They also have body ones. They have wonderful gloss lip glosses. And so that's another thing. I tend to forget to put lip gloss on when I go out in the sun. And a lot of times I feel like then I come back and my lips are really, really dry. And so it's really good to remember to put that on your lips as well. And it got beautiful colors. They have I didn't bring the samples with me. It's in the bathroom, but they've got a huge, big collection. So check out their website. I think it's a wonderful product. Otherwise, I would not be recommending. I'm actually kind of excited about summer because, you kind of put on your sunscreen, but also your skin looks beautiful and it looks really even. And it doesn't look like a disgusting foundation. It gets cakey after a while and all that. So a great, great product. And for those of you who are coming late, I was just saying that our hand sanitizer is on sale. It's an awesome product, and you can get this now. You can snap it for $4.99, something that used to cost $13 over. So you're saving over $8. It's got a long shelf life because it's got 70% of alcohol. So think of it this way: it's like, a bottle of wine or a bottle of vodka, which actually vodka has 40% of alcohol. So this is even stronger than vodka. You have a bottle of vodka in your cabinet. It can stay fresh. I mean, you can keep your vodka for years and years and years. So I haven't tested it out with our sanitizer because we just produced it last year, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be good. So if you want to stock up, it's a good time to do it now while we still have inventory. So let me see. There's a couple of things other things I want to just share with you, because we've had quite a lot of discussions with our other group on Facebook, our Thrivers group, for those of you who are there, on sprouting. So I want to just show you, if you haven't gotten into sprouting yet, this might be a good time. I feel like spring is such a great time to do sprouting. So one of the things, let's talk about sprouting. So this one is a wonderful seed called fennel that I'm sprouting here, and I'm waiting for my broccoli sprout. So you can pretty much sprout anything you want, okay? You can sprout flaxseed, you can sprout sesame seeds, you can sprout sunflower seeds, peas, mung beans, Soybeans, I mean, pretty much any bean, as long as has not been radiated, can be. Almonds, for example, cannot be. Actually, there's a question for you guys. Who knows why you cannot sprout almonds in the United States? Most of them, not all of them, but most of them. Whoever knows the answer, let me know. So this one, what I'm doing is I'm sprouting fennel. Sorry, not fennel, but fenugreek. Fenugreek is a seed that's used extensively in Indian cuisine. It's also used in combination with cinnamon to regulate blood sugar levels in India. So actually you have proper studies that show that fennel together, let's keep saying fennel, fenugreek together with cinnamon can lower blood sugar levels. So helping with prediabetes, diabetes, insulin resistance, pretty amazing seed. So this one, I'm only on day 3 rather, with fenugreek. And, I really recommend for you to try this out because they are so simple to do. Just to give you an idea, I just used 2 tablespoons of fenugreek in this jar. And by the end of day 5, so in about 2 to 3 days time, the jar is going to be full of sprouts, right? And these 2 tablespoons will probably cost me, I don't know, 50 cents, 30 cents, versus when you buy them in a supermarket. I mean, sure, it's easy and fast, but, you pay $5 to $6 for a container that's half this size, right? So significant savings, plus it's really fun. If you have kids or grandkids, it's a really wonderful way of getting them involved as well in sprouting. The cool thing about sprouting is that, sprouts are just nutritionally incredibly dense. They're full of phytonutrients. Fenugreek also helps with elevating testosterone levels, which can be a good thing for some of you who have low testosterone levels. It helps you, it's bitter, so, it's going to help you with your liver. And it's going to help you with blood sugar balance, right? Many people ask, like, what do you do with them, right? And so the answer is pretty much like any sprouts. You can put them into smoothies. You can make a salad out of them. You can add them to, especially salads. I think is just a wonderful way. I want to show you actually in the latest book, in case you haven't seen it yet, Overcoming Estrogen Dominance. I'm really big on savory breakfast. We don't do any sugar for breakfast, because you really want to control your blood sugar balance first thing in the morning. Having sugary breakfast just really sets you off in the wrong direction right off the bat. So I want to show you it's becoming warmer in Colorado. So I generally don't like doing smoothies first thing in the morning because I feel like in the winter, on the cold month, during the cold months and during winter, just because my body's really craving something warm and cooked and not raw. Has any one of you felt the same way? Like, do you ever feel like in summer you crave different foods that you crave in winter? Maybe, like I love making stews and like hearty stews, and definitely like eating a lot more meat in winter. But I don't care for those. And in winter I just cannot eat salads. It's just something that my body's just like, but also I feel cold after eating it. I don't feel satisfied, no matter how much fat or fiber I put in those salads. Where in summer, like my body's really craving these foods. And so this recipe here, which is called the avocado sprout smoothie, and for those of you who have it, is on page 274. This is something that I would never make in winter, but now it's because it's getting warmer. The original recipe talks about using sprouts from broccoli sprouts, and there is a good reason behind them. But because I'm still waiting for my broccoli sprouts to arrive, those sprouting types, I'm just sprouting what I do have. And so my previous batch, I've just put in the fenugreek seeds into the smoothie, and it was absolutely delightful. So another sprout I want to show you, by the way, so Jennifer is saying definitely crave different foods during different seasons, similar to what you were mentioning. Yeah, and so it's so important to really tune into what your body loves and craves. And, sometimes people tell you like, oh, it's so important, it's so good for you to do a smoothie first thing in the morning. If you're not craving a smoothie and you just feel like having more of a warm lentil soup, or leftover dinner from the night before, go with that, because it's just the body's just so smart, and so listening to that will be really amazing. Really yummy, made the avocado smoothie. Marilia is saying thank you. Yeah, it's and guess what? It's like one of those smoothies that doesn't have any sugar in it. It's a savory kind of, but it's got a zest to it. So it's got lemon in it. It's got a bit of salt, avocado, collagen. It's got the sprouts in it, and some lemon and lime juice. That's pretty much it. I want to show you another sprout that I'm making. That's gonna take longer from the looks of it. That's daikon. And daikon is in a family of cruciferous vegetables. So together with like cabbage and broccoli sprouts, arugula, radishes, turnips, cabbages, right? All of them are cruciferous vegetables. And you will see that in overcoming estrogen dominance, we have a ton of recipes. Most of the recipes are filled with cruciferous vegetables. You can see also in the cover, for example, right? Whether it's radishes, kale, arugula, broccoli sprouts, all of them are cruciferous vegetables. And the reason why we use them a lot is because they help you to detoxify your liver really quickly from those excess estrogens that are causing a lot of the symptoms of estrogen dominance. So this is, so I'm making daikon. I had some from last year. One thing, if your sprouts are not sprouting, but they start getting moldy, instead of starting to sprout, it's just basically a sign that the sprouts are old. So I was afraid that that might be the case, but they are just slower going. So imagine like I started them on the same day, right? As you can see what a difference it is, right? How much faster this is growing compared to daikon, but that's okay. So the daikon is, if you've been to a Japanese restaurant, daikon is like very much of a Japanese kind of vegetable. It's in the cruciferous vegetable category as well as the white root. I believe it's in the turnip family, but in the cabbage family too. And what I love about daikon is that daikon as a form of a radish is full of dialvetomethane, DIM. For those of you who've done DIM before, you might be familiar with that term, dialvetomethane. And that helps your liver in detoxifying you from estrogens, which is really awesome. So, and on top of that, is also just the fact that these sprouts are just so nutritionally dense. They're just so easy to eat. They are easy to digest. And so just a lot of really great benefits. For those of you, for example, who love to do some beans, but you can't, so especially like for those of you who are vegetarian, and you can't do beans because they give you a lot of indigestion. One of the things you could do is start sprouting your mung beans, just not to the point where, it doesn't have to have these 1/2 an inch sprouts already. It can just be when it pops open and you start seeing the little tail coming out, like in that stage here for mung beans, for example, right? And then cook them. And you will see that the digestibility of those seeds is going to be way better than having mung beans in a stew, straight in. Where do you buy your sprouting seeds and which brand would you recommend? So Zdenka is asking. So I get them from two sources. The daikon one came from Mountain Rose Herbs. So they have a few sprouting seeds. The fenugreek one, I get this from my co-op. So it's a health food store here in Boulder, Colorado. And they have a whole section for sprouting. So that's one of the cool things about going to a hippie store like that, is they do have, they have sprouting seeds, they have sprouting jars. And as you can see, I'm keeping it really simple, right? I mean, this is like not super pretty, but that's really all you need, right? It's like I'm using a cheesecloth. I'm using just a rubber thing. Sure, you can buy a lot more fancy equipment than that, but I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to keep it simple. It is just an ordinary glass jar, right? The reason why I'm keeping this cheesecloth here is because you want them to breathe, right? Otherwise, they're going to rot. And then the other thing you do is every day or twice a day, you pour water in them, give them a little bit of a gentle squish like this, swoosh, and then you pour the water out. And then I have a cloth, so standing on the table, it's actually right on the table over there, and you can probably see far behind. I have a cloth, and then you put them at this angle like this, at 45 degrees, so the water keeps dripping out of them, so you don't have like a mold developing, right? But there's still air coming in, so you don't want to put them like this, because then there's no air coming in, right? But at this angle, so the water keeps dripping out. And you want to do this water bath 2 times a day, because that's basically their source of water. They need the water to continue growing. Do mung beans have dim in them? No, they don't. So mung beans are not in the cruciferous vegetable category, but they're still, I still love them. And we have, in Overcoming Estrogen Dominance, we have a couple of lentil recipes where we are actually using not mung beans per se, but we're using yellow lentils, and so that's but it's still great food to eat. You can't sprout almonds because they are irradiated, Jennifer is saying. Exactly. That's what it is. The only place you can buy, so all the almonds in the United States have to be irradiated, and so that's why they would never sprout. However, you can buy them in farmers markets, truly organic ones that have not been irradiated, and those are the ones you can sprout. So there's a little exception, but those are just very few and in between. All right, so that's it from me. Let's take some of your questions and see what you guys have. Jennifer is asking, I'm 49, 2 years postmenopause. I have horrible sleep issues and starting to experience unwanted weight gain, 10 pounds over the last 18 months. Do you have any holistic recommendations for combating these issues? Yeah, sure. So welcome to menopause, postmenopause. That's it's an interesting time in any woman's life, right? Jennifer, I'm actually writing an article right now. I'm in the final stages of research and such on fixing sleep after 45. So you will see a lot more content on that. Make sure you're on our mailing list so you know when the article comes out. You can get on our mailing list on hormonesbalance.com. On our website, there's like a bar on top, and you can just sign up for the list. And so but I want to just give you a couple of pointers here right off the bat. So the big thing that we see with sleep issues with women with perimenopausal, menopausal, and postmenopausal is, number one, is low progesterone. So progesterone is a calming hormone. It's gonna be, in women who are still cycling, it's your reproductive hormone. But it's kind of interesting how in modern OBGYN world or gynecology, progesterone after reproductive years is kind of overlooked and ignored, which is really sad, because women suffer a lot in our menopausal and perimenopausal years with low progesterone. So things like anxiety, poor sleep are some of the very common symptoms. So one thing you could try, Jennifer, is consider adding progesterone at night to your protocol. That's one big thing. The other thing is that I see a lot with women is magnesium deficiency. And so, fixing your magnesium, and Brittany, if we can maybe pop the page to our magnesium replenish. The thing is that we are out of inventory right now, but you can sign up for a mailing list, and we should be having it back in about a week's time. So the magnesium, and I explained in the video how to do magnesium dosing method, where you're dosing up until you get a loose stool, and then you back on the dose. And so, it could be that your dose might need to be 1,800 milligrams to replenish your magnesium deficiency, where I just might need only 300 milligrams, right? So you need to test it out, replenish your magnesium levels, and then back off. I'm using an Oura ring to monitor my deep and REM sleep based on the different things I'm experimenting with almost every night. And one of the things is really clear to me that whenever I take magnesium, like 450 milligrams, and before going to bed, and this is on top of the other magnesium I'm taking during the day, that my sleep is significantly better, especially my deep sleep, which is really important. They're connecting now, deficiency of deep sleep, for example, to Alzheimer's, connection to cancers, and all of that stuff. I will be talking a lot more about that in the article. So that's one. Then the third thing I'm just going to mention for now is also reducing alcohol before going to bed. You guys, I just cannot tell you, how devastating drinking alcohol before bed can really be. I wish that I didn't have to say that, because I'm one of those who loves to have a glass of wine, to kind of unwind, do a Zoom call with my girlfriends, and we call it the wine hour and all that stuff. And now, like, most of us are just sipping on a bloody, herbal tea, because so many of us are having sleeping problems, right? And so it's funny, right, that when we were younger, you're like, you can just drink all you want, and you go to bed and you have the solid sleep. I find that when we get older, it's just we get a lot more sensitive to a lot of things. So that will be another thing, reducing or completely eliminating alcohol. I've experimented on drinking alcohol on like late afternoon, early evening, by 3-4 o'clock on a weekend, and it still impacted my sleep. Lastly, the last thing I'm just going to mention on this call is blue light. So looking at screens, including your phone, your computer, TV, anything that emits blue light that interferes with your melatonin production, it can completely destroy your sleep. And so consider a few of those things. Jennifer and Brittany, if we can post, I've actually written an article that I've been updating for the past 3 years. There's got a lot more other recommendations, but those are the really fundamental ones that think about changing. Now, putting on weight is one of the things that I have found with women in menopause is our sensitivity to sugar goes up a lot more, same as like with alcohol and everything else. We just become a lot more sensitive. So I don't know, Jennifer, if you have my book, Overcoming Estrogen Dominance, but one of the big things I recommend is to really balance your blood sugar levels, reduce sugar intake, alcohol, changing your breakfasts. And so those are some of the things. Lowering inflammation if you're highly inflamed. Those are some of the strategies that are just overall going to benefit your body, and then the weight will go away. Which supplements are best for 40-year-old with PCOS? Okay, so Shelly, the cause of PCOS is two things. One is inflammation, and number two is high blood sugar levels, right? And so, the first thing to do is to really address it through nutrition, and before you go into supplements. One of the things I want to show you guys, I have in the book, is this chart that shows you your progression, right? Your path to balancing your hormones. And at the bottom of the chart, you have food being the foundation of your hormonal balance. Second one is herbs. Third one is supplements. The fourth one is medication, so prescription stuff, right? Including bioidentical hormones. So this is the progression of this is how you think about rebalancing your hormones. So somebody who's got PCOS, there's some supplements in there. They're like berberine, for example. It's instead of taking, metmorphin, right, which reduces your blood sugar levels. Berberine has got amazing results in that respect. And this is actually a study that shows that it doesn't give you the side effects and lowers the blood sugar levels. However, if your blood sugar levels are high, you're highly inflamed, these supplements can only go so far. So my advice would be to consider changing your diet first and foremost, redesign your breakfast, be a lot more aware how much sugar you consume throughout the day. One of the things I will say that is nobody's fault here is it's more of the industry fault. And I really think that a lot of the junk food companies, including those that are totally greenwashing, like Coca-Cola and Pepsi, are now going and buying up all these organic brands that we know as being organic, and then they reformulate them at the back end. Odwalla is a good example of a juice, right, that you think is like so nice and healthy. It's actually owned by, I think it's Pepsi. And, and then you look at the label of Odwalla, and it's got copious amounts of sugar. If I'm not mistaken, it's like 25 grams of sugar. 4 grams of sugar is 1 teaspoon, right? So you take 25 divided by 4, that gives you about 6.5 teaspoons of sugar, just in a really little drink. It's not very big. And so, I think as consumers, especially in the United States, we are just unaware how much sugar that's hiding in everything. And so I think that's part of the reason why we have, diabetes and pre-diabetes and PCOS. Actually, PCOS is the number one hormonal imbalance, according to the endocrine authorities in the country. I think estrogen dominance is even bigger, but it's not really properly measured. So, so think about balancing your blood sugar levels, supplements, and lowering inflammation, whether it's stress, using toxic products in your in your regimen, and again, I cover like how to detox your kitchen, how to detox your skincare products. That's the reason why we talk about clean sunscreens, right? Is because it's like, I want to help you reduce the toxic load on your body. So lowering your inflammation, balancing your blood sugar levels, those are going to be your key strategies with nutrition before you do supplements for PCOS. Since the fiber support shrinks fibroids, would it cause heavier bleeding from fibroids located inside the uterus? No, it wouldn't. Fiber support is developed in a way that actually those enzymes are chomping down the tissue of the fibroid. So the answer is absolutely not. It would help. There is one question I want to take. Yeah, Laura is asking, can you suggest some clean makeup brands? Yeah, so our favorite is 100% Pure. So we have them on, Brittany, if you want to post the All Things We Love link maybe, we have it there. 100% Pure is my favorite. And this is actually what I'm wearing. Everything that I'm wearing right now is from them. The foundation actually I'm using is Integrity today, but otherwise I use on any other day, because I'm planning to be outside today, but any other day I will use 100% Pure. So the cool thing about 100% Pure, how I discovered them, just to give you a sense of context, was one of my closest friends, her name is Yasmina Yekelsdam. She's the founder of healinghistamine.com, and she passed away, unfortunately, 3 years ago. But when she was going through chemo, and so she was diagnosed with cancer, it's what's called triple negative breast cancer. It's one of the most aggressive cancers that, unlike estrogen receptor positive breast cancer, we know estrogen is the cause. With triple negative, you just don't know what the heck is causing it. And so she was given 2 months to live. She ended up living 2.5 years because of all the diet, meditation, lifestyle changes that she had made. But one of the things is, she is, and most of, some of you maybe who come from the that part of the world, Arab women love to wear makeup, and she was one of them. So she was half Arab and Palestinian, half Jordanian, and she loved wearing makeup. And so when she was going through chemo, she was still running her business, and she always wanted to look beautiful, and that was one of her thing about like, I want to show up and look really good and not be imposing on people that I'm dying and I'm sick, and just really, really wanted to, bring the best of her forward. And so she started reacting to, because of the chemo, because of the radiation that she was experiencing, her body was so inflamed that she was, every single foundation that she would put on, she was reacting to it. And that's how she found 100% Pure. And she said that was the only brand, as someone who's going through chemo, who's so sick and so sensitive, wasn't breaking out. And I will say, I mean, they have a trademark on using color. Color is what color extracts from fruits and vegetables, and they're using some very old Chinese techniques. So just to give you an example, for instance, the foundation is made out of rice bran, right? And is just powdered so gently or so finely, rather than when you put it on, it's like, it just feels like a regular foundation. And of course they use natural tints and such. So you can literally, you can physically eat the product. That's how good it is. And I'm wearing their lipstick right now. I'm using their foundation, all the eye makeup is from them as well. So really, really love that brand. Rose is saying, I have fibroids more likely due to estrogen dominance. Is it a good idea to take progesterone to balance hormones? Which is better, progesterone cream or pill? So, okay, so there's a few issues in here. Let me just take Laura's question just to finish this off. What color are you wearing? I have olive skin tone too. So, I think the best thing to do, Laura, is I think I'm wearing, the second skin is called, I'm wearing the number 5 or 6. And then I've got the actual foundation that is on, I think it's called Olive. The cool thing is that you can ask them to send you samples. It can only cost like $5 and then decide from there. They also have an amazing return policy. where, for example, I bought stuff before that were just too bright. It was too light, and I just looked really like pale and sickly. And they just let me keep it. So I gave it to my friend who's got a lighter skin than me, and they just refine you without even having to ship the product, which is really, really, really sweet. Okay, so back to the fibroid question. Most likely due to estrogen dominance. So it's 100% due to estrogen dominance. So just to let you know. Yes, you can take progesterone to balance your hormones. So Rose, if you don't have my book, I highly recommend to check out Overcoming Estrogen Dominance. I explain there the different types of estrogen dominance, and I'm just gonna touch on it. Is that there's two types of estrogen dominance. One is the estrogen progesterone ratio is off, right? And then so adding progesterone as a supplement, as a topical, or as a supplement, like in form of Vitex, chaseberry. You can do it as a tincture that naturally brings up progesterone levels. That's another option, just to let you know. We'll be able to address that. However, there's another type of estrogen dominance where your estrogen gets broken down to clean and dirty estrogens, and that happens in the liver. In which case, when you have, if the growth of your fibroids are due to the dirty and the clean estrogens, the dirty estrogens. So the issue is how you're breaking down those estrogens. Then adding progesterone alone is not going to solve the issue. It's not going to shrink the fibroids, stop them from growing. Then the issue becomes more with fibroids and addressing your liver health. And so there's a whole chapter here in the book on how to address your liver so that you metabolize those estrogens more effectively, you create more of the clean estrogens and not the dirty ones, because the dirty ones are what causes the growth of the fibroid. So there's we also have a supplement in our store that's really good to combine it with a diet called Fibro Support. And that gives you the enzymes that also known to chomp down on fibroids, and reduce fibroids. So which is a pretty cool technology. Which is better, cream or pill? So progesterone in a pill form is only doing one thing, and that is reducing it works on the GABA receptors in the brain, which basically means that makes you more sleepy and it helps you with sleep. So that's really great for that. But I personally, and from all the training I have gone through, I prefer much rather using topical progesterone because it gives you a lot of other benefits. Not just the good sleep, but also gives you, it helps you regulate it gives you higher HDL cholesterol, which is the good cholesterol. It helps you with cardiovascular health. It helps you with sleep. It helps you with bones. It helps you with your sex life. So it's just got a lot more benefits than that. And by the way, we do have a supplement. We do have a topical progesterone in our store called Progest Pure if you're interested. Okay, maybe you could use. Is that for everyone, or that the video is sounding like a broken record? It keeps repeating every sentence. Can you guys let us know if you can hear us okay? Laura is saying that she is in the UK. So for those of you who want products, so Laura, I don't know whether 100% Pure ships to the UK. Most likely they do. And if they don't, there is a cool service called myus.com. So mys.com. And, it's basically, they create a shipping address here for United States. So don't use it just for one product. I would say, maybe spend the next 2-3 months collecting things that you like from different brands and stores, and you can ship it there to yourself, and then they forward the whole thing over to you to the United States. But I agree with you. I think that somebody has got a really great suggestion here, saying maybe you could use 100% pure ingredients list to try and find one that you get near you. And I think UK is pretty great at having more and more clean brands coming up as well. So that should be quite doable. I use Progest. Always put it in the morning. Having had PCOS and estrogen dominance, should I put it at night? So Janie is asking, it's actually up to you. Progesterone is not a sedative, so it's not going to make you sleepy in the morning, right? And but they might help you at night later. And so when your body is ready. And progesterone really is a very relaxing, calming hormone. So You can actually do it 2 times a day, and you will know that something isn't, like you're having too much progesterone when you start getting kind of foggy brained and sluggish and tired and a little depressed. That's when you're gonna back off. So a lot of women actually do it both in the morning as well as at night. I've tried the Magdalena eye cream and it's amazing, really nourishing. Definitely recommend it. Thank you, Laura. We are low on stock, but we're getting new one in. So Brittany, are we out of stock or are we low on stock for our skincare? Okay, yeah, so it's either one. Anyway, we're having some inventory challenges. That's what happens in the business. And but we are working on restocking everything. So in the meantime, for those of you who are coming a little bit late, we have our hand sanitizer on sale. You can get this now for $4.99. Super clean, very few ingredients only, non-toxic, doesn't dry your hands, which is like one of the big things that a lot of people are telling us, that when they use the commercial hand sanitizers, it really dries their hands, and is approved by the FDA to, it was one of those controlled items. And so we had to get an FDA approval to even call it a hand sanitizer. But it does work against the coronavirus, and it's got 70% ethanol in it. So it's all in compliance with that. So just want to let you know. And for those of you who also missed, I was just sharing Santegrity is my favorite go-to. This summer, I'm just going to be using this product for my face as well as body for as a sunscreen. Just a really wonderful product. They've got a low, EWG gave them a 1 score, which means it's like 1 is good. 1 is just means it's super clean, is 1 and 2. So that is basically very low toxicity levels. It's also safe for reef. It's safe to use it in Hawaii. The Hawaii authorities have banned using sunscreens getting into the ocean because of the reef damage that it was causing. So when you're using clean products like from Santegrity, is just, it's just so much safer, and it's really safe for you as well. So great product. We have the link in the comments here for you to check it out. And our Hormones Balance community is getting 10% off. So we negotiated a deal with them. It's, one of the things I was hoping for a higher discount. The problem is when you make really nice quality products, it's expensive. And so this is where, they only can discount so much. But anyway, we're passing on the discount to you guys. Where can you buy Santegrity? Chris is asking. Brittany, let's post the link again. But Chris, if you scroll down the comments, you will see the link to Santegrity. And there's a coupon code of HB10, and that way you can get your 10% off. Their lip glosses, by the way, are amazing too. I highly recommend those. Let's see. Let me take this one. If you have estrogen positive breast cancer, does it mean you have estrogen dominance? Great question. The answer is yes. So that's the reason why it's called estrogen. So it's called, the full name is estrogen receptor positive breast cancer. So that means that in the cell, right, is responding to estrogen, and that's what causes the growth of the tumor, actually. So yeah, absolutely, somebody who's got estrogen dominance is the leading cause. And so you can sort of understand my frustration when people, when you go to a number of different government organizations and like the whole pink ribbons movement, which I really don't like, to put it mildly, is that, the whole spiel is really they are pushing women to get mammograms rather than be really addressing the root cause. And their website will say everywhere the root causes are unknown. And you're like, what the hell? But we do know the causes. I mean, you call it estrogen receptor positive breast cancer. Like, what do you think this is coming from? And for years, pink ribbons were, using sponsorships of companies that were like Maybelline and all these toxic skincare products that were actually contributing towards these breast cancers. The whole thing is just like, was so, and they stopped doing that because of a lot of criticism they received. But yeah, anyway, this is my little rant. But so this is where in Overcoming Estrogen Dominance, you have a whole chapter actually on just reversing and addressing breast cancer. And so it's it's chapter 20 on page 222. There's a whole protocol for you specifically for estrogen receptor positive breast cancer. Does red raspberry stop the period or just slow it down while you are taking the supplement? So here's an interesting thing about red raspberry, right? Is that, and that's just generally about herbs, something that, you would appreciate. I feel like a red raspberry should really be called more of a hormonal adaptogen, right? So some of you might be familiar with the term adaptogen for like an adrenal adaptogen, right? Meaning that it's, if your adrenals are underperforming, this herb kind of pushes it up. If the adrenals are overactive, then this herb is going to help you modulate them down, right? So that's why it's called, it adapts to whatever your body needs. That's the name coming from. And we always use the name as kind of reserved for adaptogens in the context of adrenal health or the HPA axis health, right? But I feel like, having gone through herbal school and been using herbs for so long, I feel like red raspberry is a good example of an herb that is an hormonal adaptogen, meaning that if your period is too heavy, red raspberry will come in there and slow it down. But if your period is regular, it's just gonna create more of a uterine toning for the women more than anything else. So just to give you an example, I drink red raspberry as part of my daily tea. And we also have a daily, just to let you guys know, a daily herbal tea that's recommended in the book. And it contains, so like, for example, mine contains things like nettles and oat straw and red raspberry. I've got red clover in there and something else I'm forgetting. Probably a little bit of licorice, just a tiny bit. I don't particularly like licorice, believe it or not. And so, and I drink it almost every day, right? And it doesn't dry out my period anyway, but my periods are pretty regular. Regular as in perimenopausal regular, right? And so this is something that you need to consider, something good to think about is that red raspberry really just does for you what needs to happen. There's other herbs that are, for example, yarrow is a good example. Yarrow, I would not call it an adaptogen. Yarrow will really dry up your period. It is a strong astringent herb. For those of you who follow me for a while, just to give you an example, last year during summer, I was at a summer camp, an herbal summer camp for adults, right? But we were like children. And I was cutting herbs. We were making these infusions, and I was cutting out this herb. And with this very sharp scissors, I was talking to someone. I wasn't looking, and I cut off the tip of my left thumb here. Blood spewing out everywhere, right? One woman faints because she can't look at blood. The whole thing was a mess. And so nobody had a first aid kit, which is another thing. So obviously I pressed on it, put my hand down, right? You want to put it above your heart. But of course, the minute I bring it down, everything is like spewing with blood. It was really deep. So the instructor immediately found some yarrow, got me to chew on it, and then put that on the tip of my finger, right? And then just put gentle pressure on it. And it was amazing how that yarrow not only stopped the bleeding, but also it was an antiseptic. So I never got an infection. I never used any antiseptic cream throughout the healing process. And it took the pain away. So it's an anesthetic as well. It took the pain away. So quite amazing. So yarrow is a good example that will really slow down the bleeding. So really great for somebody who's got very heavy periods and such. So yeah, but red raspberry, anyway, I just had to share the story because I love that story from last summer. Made me really appreciate yarrow, beyond just reading about it and like studying it at school. You're like, oh, wow, I really love this herb now. Okay, let's do one more question before we wrap up. Rose is asking, with progesterone, can you take it all month long or do we need a break from it? So the answer is you do need a break. And there's two ways of dosing progesterone. And Brittany, if we can maybe pop the link that we have about progesterone FAQs. So if you are menstruating, then you do progesterone only from the time of ovulation until your period starts. So 14 days out of, so half of your cycle, right? If you are not planning to get pregnant, sorry, I take it back. You do the 14 days from ovulation to start of your period if you're planning to get pregnant. So you're basically emulating your actual cycle. If you are cycling or you're not cycling, but you don't, and if you're cycling and you don't want to you don't care about getting pregnant, or you are in perimenopausal and menopausal and you maybe don't have your period or such, you can basically do this for 25 days out of a month, and then you want to stop for 5 days. The other good practice with progesterone is to rotate the spots, because your cells do get a little bit, they don't get as sensitive to, so it's good to do it anywhere, you've got thin skin, right? So like, for example, a lot of times I'll put it around here. You can put it around your neck. You can put it behind your neck. Obviously, the classical ones will be, I got a burn. You put it right here on your wrists. You can put it on top here as well. You can put it on your feet, because that's a very thin skin there as well. So those are the places you can keep rotating your progesterone, the 25 days, and then with a 5 days break. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up. Thank you so much for being a great sport, always asking really great questions. And yeah, and so we'll see you next Thursday. I'm actually gonna be traveling to New Mexico with a friend of mine, but I'm gonna be back the following week, and then we're gonna be doing more of these sort of fun videos with you guys. Well, thanks so much, everyone, and I will see you soon.